If it isn't my greatest mistake. I was sitting in my fortress and drinking, when I should have come here and burned the damn trading post to the ground, along with everyone inside, on the very day you appeared in the Stolen Lands.
Dawnflower?
It's not the first time you've saved my life. As Abadar is my witness, I'm even happier to see you now than on the day of the battle with Armag. I fought people and monsters alike, but none of us were ready for an endless horde of phantoms. I heard reports that something strange and frightening is happening in your lands. It is my duty as an ally to help you, so I gathered my best troops and came to your aid. Alas, we became lost in that sorcerous mist. And then those shadows came out of it. I don't know how long we could have held the line, but then a guiding light glimmered through the mist, and soon you appeared. We were hoping you could tell us. It must be the spells of the Fae. Or who else did you manage to enrage? This mist is no mere fog. It bewilders the senses and makes you wander in circles. But phantoms are worse. They appear from out of the mist, and there's no end to them. Shadows of our warriors and barbarians, endlessly repeating a fearful battle, none distinguishing friend and foe. This mist obscures tracks and bewilders the senses, but your lantern will show us the way. Until then, I can't deny it, this mist had me worried. But now I see you have the situation in hand. I'm sure that together we will overcome this pestilence, whatever it is.
There you are, of course. After all, you couldn't miss it. A mimic cannot exist without a model, nor a villain without a hero. You don't have your own journey or your own story, for you are merely a chapter in my epic. Without me, you simply do not exist. Do you remember when we last met, you said you'd rule my lands? For the good of your subjects, wisely and fairly? So what? Did your ruling bring your subjects much good? Are they satisfied? Are they happy now? Is the toady fairy happy? Is your governor happy who turned into my footrest? And what do you think Iriveti is? A sack of skin filled with bones and guts that once decorated this room so beautifully? Of course not. Iriveti is a legend, and the legend has returned in all his glory. Look around. I am everything I was and all that I could be. All the legends composed about me. My glory was too great to fit into one body. Here is Iriveti, wise ruler. Iriveti, invincible warrior. Iriveti, cunning trickster. Iriveti, sacred champion of Calistria. And who are you? No one and nothing. A minor prop I will use to demonstrate my grandeur to the audience. Well, let us begin. It's time for you to become a part of my history.
Do you think he will really leave us alone? What else could he do? If the Arcanothane were merely a powerful supernatural being, he might fight her. But to attack the herald of a god, especially one so unpredictable as Nethy's, even so much as to oppose a decision she's made, that's not the smartest move. You followed us here, foregoing your own interests, enduring a curse and an attack on your kingdom. This is impressive. Canere is trying to say we are forever grateful. From now on, your grief is our grief, and your foe is our foe. Not because we need a patron, but because no one is dearer to us than you.
It's good that everything will be over. I have been so afraid that we wouldn't have the time to save you or this tormented kingdom. But now there's just a little further to go, and I believe we can make it. You exaggerate. I don't think I offer so much support. But I am immensely happy that I can help you in any way I can. This land deserves peace, and all the more so, its ruler. I didn't want to distract you with such a trifle at this important moment, but let me again thank you for giving me a second chance. I have realized much along my journey. Although I'd prefer my awakening hadn't been bought with innocent lives. From now on, I will be stricter with myself, and will spend more time helping those who need it. And one more thing. I'm not one for inspirational speeches, but let me wish you strength and luck. Your burden is the heaviest of all. May you be equal to the task. I'm with you until the end.
A menacing hour. A simple mind might see it in the end of times, and the triumph of Grotus. But alas, these are only the games of a foolish deity, wrapped in the vanity of the first world. Your words seem strange to me, but something in them warms my old soul. Though this is true, everything unfolds in the best possible way. If we meet our death in the coming battle, it will be a wonderful ending. If we win, although it's a pointless act, I will also be satisfied. It would be wrong to bow to this self-proclaimed Lantern King. Indeed, we must quench that false light, so it doesn't confuse the souls of those who look on it.
I'm just waiting for a signal to attack. There's a great battle ahead, and it will end with a great victory. I believe that more than I've ever believed anything. I'm glad to hear it. I would never turn away from my duty, no matter what. Yet it's better to enter a dangerous battle with an easy heart, knowing that your sword serves one who truly values your loyalty. Every failure, every fallen comrade. But these regrets cannot undermine my spirit. We learn from our mistakes and harden for times like these. And I need not answer. To arms! We will protect this land and free you from this curse. That's why I've taken up my weapons, and I won't put them down until all our plans are fulfilled.
Of course you're glad. What would you do without me? I can't tell what is to come, and this makes me uneasy. But my gut is telling me we can handle it. It turns out that it's not so easy to be the heroes of song and legend. But we can do it. I know it. I believe it. Just terribly silly things. I often do this to distract myself from trouble and worry. I daydream about complete nonsense. Just now, I was thinking how wonderful it would be to see the snow and make a snowman. I've never done anything like that before. This land can only have one ruler. We'll do whatever it takes to recover what's been taken from us and save this miserable land.
I look around and I think, should we really have been so eager to get to the First World? I suppose it's time we ask that he leave our lands alone and take himself back where he comes from. Jubilost Narthropple, the most unbearable researcher of Galarian, at your service. We've seen a lot together. I hope you've said that for a reason, and the good memories outweigh the bad ones, just a little bit. Of course, I never became the hero who saved the entire gnome race. I don't even know how I'll live with myself, knowing that I'm just a famous scientist who visited the First World, met one of its deities, and defeated another, assuming we win this battle. We'll ask them, all right. Who can say no to politeness and forcible explosive arguments?
This a crazy road all way to end. Even crazier than how we meet. Now someone tries steal city of Knock Knock, king of jesters? Knock Knock say, we go jester thief to death. You show more than how be hero. How be more true self. You teach Knock Knock how to jester. Use head, but not as club. Use to trick enemy. Turn laughter back to stab people. Knock Knock never had to be hero. You showed Knock Knock only had to be Knock Knock. Jester, not someone else. All the way from Goblin King to great confronting of Munguk, to finding tribe again, and king, not king again. All led to being Jester. But need city back first, or Jester have no place to jester. Knock Knock not let you go alone. Besides, be fun. Knock Knock never stole a city back before. Be tell of Jester greater than any hero.
We're ready to march, are we not? At last. This waiting is exhausting. It's not the first time I've heard someone praise my skills, but hearing it from you is especially enjoyable. You are an excellent leader. I hope you know that's not flattery. I don't flatter, and I'm no good at it. It's just a sign of respect, from one worthy companion to another. I know the wrath and mercy of true deities. The games of the First World Pretender don't scare me. And yes, you are absolutely right about me. However, I value justified risk and mutually beneficial alliance. No serious goals can be achieved without them. Point me to the goal. I'll handle the rest, one way or another.
We were just getting ready for our last great battle, and now we're doing it again. It's a good thing I decided to follow you back here at Aldori's. You definitely know how to have fun, Chief. Oh no, I'm not ready. Wait, I need to polish my sword and tie some ribbons to my belt. Then I'll be ready for battle. I do. You're a good chief, and our tribe is all right, and we've been through a lot of good fights. Don't think I'm sucking up or something. It's just that I live like I want now, and that makes me sing inside. Right. Go on, Chief. Give the order.
The curse didn't break you. Good. But we must hurry. This madness must be stopped once and for all. Words of a worthy leader are better reward than honors and gold. We've come a long way. May the ones ahead be longer and lighter. No. We are going to fight for our home, for the laughter of children yet to be born. That evil outsider god fights only for his pride. He cannot win. Lead. I will follow.
Hey, Chief! How are you feeling? I can't wait to stretch my legs a little. This happiness cost us a lot. And to keep it, I'll fight 1,000 devils. For you, for all of us, and for those who aren't with us anymore. If I have to, I'll burn down the whole First World and return alive with you. Some fight. I'm already thinking about the toast for the celebration feast. We'll deal with this flying fireball nice and quick, and then I hope we'll celebrate for at least a couple of weeks. I wonder where Octavia is now. Probably in Elysium, feasting with Calistria. I hope she sees us and raises a cup to our victory. You've led us through 100 brawls. You'll lead us through this one. Just don't look back and use any chance fate throws at us. Lead on, Chief. I'm right behind you.
Stand with me. Your Highness, I beg to report. The city is flooded with hostile First World creatures, and your allies are scattered. It all happened within minutes. We entered the gate and the ground split open. Some went up, some down, and all somehow in complete silence. There's almost no communication between the islands, so our forces are separated and uncoordinated. But we fight as best we can. Also...
Allow me to speak for myself, Sir Keston. Greetings, Your Highness. I humbly request you hear me out. I come from a duchy you probably haven't heard of, though it's only a day's journey from here. Many ages ago, it was destroyed by the fairy Nyrissa and turned into a grain of dust for the sorceress's cursed cup. I suppose you've guessed who I am, or rather, what I am. Warriors from all the fallen kingdoms were kept in the cup, and many return as half-mad shadows. I have returned as well. I am the shadow of Sir Warren Dagar. But unlike the other shadows, I have no desire to fight for those who slaughtered my ruler and my people. If you'd allow me, I would help you in your noble cause as best I can. I understand your suspicions, although I'm truly sorry for it. Very well. So long, Your Highness.
Still hiding behind masks, eldest? Isn't it time you cast them away?
Words, words. How little value we attach to them, and how much they truly mean. But I've grown tired of words and prophecies. I will no longer predict chaos and death. Instead, I will show them to you, myself.
Oh yes, the time has come! The time of fate and curses!
2 arms!
You don't seem to like my curses! Maybe you like my jokes better? The time for laughter is past. It's the hour of hunting and chaos.
Enough! Time for the desire to help people whose grief touches you. I remember your answer. The world remembers it too. Your answer, your heart, your essence. Now, cursed king, I'm taking this part of your soul, as I took away Nerissa's ability to love. What you called your essence is yours no more. Let us continue. We both wear a crown. But what do you own? A meager patch of land, a few thousand souls? My dominion is chaos and magic, madness and deceit. Your power is nothing compared to mine. And that is why you are helpless before me. You will take my every blow as a divine punishment, as something imminent. I'm curious what you think of me, cursed king. Do you see me as a villain or a simple joker? In truth, well, you'll never be able to conceive of the truth. Being an eldest means being one of the many strings that hold the world in place. Being an eldest means being such a vast and self-sufficient value that one's equals become strangers and one's inferiors are entirely insignificant. I am an eldest. Laughter, guile, transformation, that's what I am. And being what I am, I will let you feel a modicum of my loneliness. I will take away your pillar of strength. Good. You can play with words. Let us see if you can withstand the heat of my fire.
Stand with me.
What a refreshing feeling. I don't remember sensing it for thousands of millennia. But what's next? How will you end this story? Listen, I know a good end. Elegant and refined. The hero defeats a deity in battle. Impressive, it grants the victor power and immortality. The hero enters the chambers of the deity to become his champion and herald. Eternal, powerful, equally glorified both in the first world and in Galarian. His kingdom healed from its wounds and flourished under the rule of the immortal champion. A beautiful ending, isn't it? And this legend is yours for the asking.
Trust the laughing lie. Don't do this. Not after everything you and I have endured because of him. I can give you immortality and power, though not as much as the Lantern Kings. Perhaps we won't be able to stand against the eldest, but accept my gift and my patronage. And together we will make him pay for what he's done.
How sad it is to hear you, Nerissa. Thousands of years for nothing! You haven't learned a single lesson. Never learned to atone. But what do you say? That is easy. I will return your kingdom to Galarian and strengthen its connection to the First World. In their homeland, the Fae can endlessly return to life. I will give to you the same gift. So long as you remain an enclave of the First World, death within its borders will never threaten you. As for the prize, I'm offering you the position of a servant. Believe it or not, I am lonely. Divine power and immortality are a heavy burden. To accept it means losing all your friends and companions, but you can find allies and reliable assistance. This is what I'm looking for. A herald and a general with whom I can share eternity, and together we'll play 1,000 wonderful pranks and spread our power across the First World and further, much further. What do you think? I can let my misguided protege go wherever she likes. Knowing her, I'm doubtful she will become a humble exile.
I won't. I've come too far to go back. It might take me 1,000 years and thousands of deaths, but I will find a way to get back at you, eldest. Even if he betrays our alliance and becomes your puppet. I suggest we do not kneel. We are both cursed, you and I. But so what? The curse can harm you only as much as affliction touches your kingdom. But now, with the eldest wounded and bleeding, his henchmen all slain, I can return your state to the material plane. It will heal its wounds, and so will you. I'll create a bond between you and the First World, granting you immortality. Just as the Lantern King promises.
And what role in all this shall I play, trespasser?
The role of the vanquished. I know you will hardly accept a defeat, eldest. You may try to attack us again, but we defeated you once. And we will do it again if we must. I'm ready to fight you forever if I have to.
So be it. This performance has run its course. It would be unwise to continue it. Besides, I have no love of dying, returning to life. My fellow eldest are very good at playing especially intricate pranks at that exact moment. You were cursed by my will. By my will, you are now free from the curse. May the shackles be broken, fetters be loosened. What's been stolen will be returned. What's been divided will be made whole again. I say farewell, and release your kingdom to the material plane. Go, be glad of your ordinary mortal life, and forget the gods of the First World. Now they no longer concern you.
Now that the eldest and other spiteful beings wouldn't be bothering us, the king returned to his subjects and celebrated the victory and the end of the kingdom's miseries with great fanfare. Everything gradually returned to normal, including our exciting lives. Not always peaceful, but also not troubled by invasions from another world. And little by little, our heroes and the common folk began to forget the sorrows of the past. Sometimes, on clear spring nights, the king saw dreams. In them, the nymph Nyrissa, fierce and wounded, battled the Jabberwock, died, and returned to life, again, and again, and again. Under the wise leadership of the king, the stolen lands became a true country. There was still much to be done, of course, and some of it will need to be finished by our heroes' descendants. But there are no longer cut purses on every corner, and the peasants aren't afraid some new self-proclaimed chief will show up and strong-arm himself into power. How do you turn the stolen lands, savage and unruly, into a stronghold of safety and stability? The king found an answer by tripling or even quadrupling the number of guards. These guards consider themselves something of a privileged class, of course, allowed much more leniency than anyone else. But the ordinary citizens, feeling safe and secure, prefer to just overlook the discrepancy. The feud between Brevois North and South, which had been smoldering for ages, finally sparked the fires of civil war. Our troops lent aid to the forces of Restov, led by Sword Lord Jamandi Aldori. After several bloody battles, House Sertova was forced to recognize Restov's independence. The victory came at a high price, but we have no more loyal ally than once more free Rostland. Kasil Aldori, who lost an arm during the war, became a permanent ambassador of Rostland at our court. Amiri didn't remain leader of the Tiger Lords for long. Ruling was certainly not her calling. The years she spent with them were enough for them to regain their forces, though, and they recovered to be one of the best mercenary armies in the region again. They revere her as a great hero, even more than they once worshipped Armagh, and they respect our king, of course. He was a comrade in arms of the great Amiri, after all. Their tribe came to be loyal allies. Pitax almost returned to its former state, a joyful city filled with beers of dubious quality and deals of questionable legality. The old trade houses lost the crown, but they retrieved the property Iravetti had taken from them. Soon, Pitax became almost like a second capital in the kingdom, a thriving city through which rivers of money from across the region ran. Unfortunately, we get much less of this money than we would like. Governor Lyachenza turned out to be helpless against widespread embezzlement. Maestro Bellavara gave the Academy of the Arts a second wind. Throwing out mediocre students and sycophants, she gathered within its walls talented visionaries, rebels, and freethinkers. Those whose gifts felt cramped within the walls of more respectable institutions. She managed to do what Iravetti never could, namely, make the Academy truly famous, albeit scandalously so. And so what if, instead of odes to the king, the Academy releases sneering pamphlets and revolutionary leaflets? It only helps his reputation as a true patron of the arts. The dangerous man-eating trolls disappeared entirely from the forests and swamps of the Stolen Lands. Kobolds, though, being sneaky and clever, are still sometimes met by travelers and hunters who wander off the beaten track. Some even say the short reptiles still praise the great King Tartuk, but no one knows for certain. As soon as anyone approaches the kobolds, they forget their military honor and turn tail. After enduring so many storms and troubles, Varnhold eventually turned into a real city. Daring settlers decided to conquer the vast, wild expanses of Dunsword, and despite all odds, they succeeded. The modest colony that almost vanished at the hands of an ancient lich turned everything around to become a thriving city with lively river trading. Agay, the Spriggan leader, learned a valuable lesson after surviving his meeting with the king and even regaining his tribe's home. Don't try to occupy seemingly empty settlements anymore. Instead, the Spriggans settled across Dunsword's wild borderlands and proclaimed it as their domain. Keeping the peace in a situation like that seems like the stuff of dreams, as evidenced by the occasional lost patrols and stolen cattle. Mites led by the warrior Queen Bada'a keep causing trouble in the vicinity of the old sycamore. They scare the fishers, hold centipede races, and drag anything they find lying about back to their caves. Clothes left out to dry, dog kennels, even anvils. When the king visits them, they seem to calm down, for about a day, sometimes even two. Oleg's trading post continues to thrive, attracting even more travelers. Much to its owner's displeasure, a small town is springing up around it. Despite Oleg's grumbling, he and his wife are well regarded by everyone, and Svetlana was even elected town chief. Jod and Keston, after surviving the bloom, remained loyal to the king they followed through thick and thin, and they continue to serve as court advisors to this day. The austere priest and the gloomy warrior regularly argue over the proper way to govern the state, as well as which of the two rulers should hear out first. Some things never change. Keston Garas took a post as chief of the kingdom's guard. The former heir to a noble family never returned to Brevoy, severing all ties to his kin. However, a few years after the victory over the First World, a girl arrived from Brevoy and soon married Keston. They say Keston started smiling a lot more after that. Jod remained loyal to the king to the end of his days, healing the sick and generously sharing his austere wisdom with anyone who wished to hear it, and some who didn't. Having fulfilled his duty to the ruler, Erastil's priest peacefully departed this world, surrounded by friends and disciples. Breinhart became a loyal ally and trade partner of the kingdom, and Darwin himself had been seen as a frequent guest in the capital. The elegant monarch of the neighboring kingdom has broken many hearts at court. After his visits, many young guards and servants have been seen staring through windows, sighing wistfully about something. The lizard folk of the Longtail tribe returned to live on the shores of Candlemere, but they couldn't return to their ancient way of life. Living alongside people, the lizard folk adopted their behaviors, habits, and even religion. More and more of the Longtail tribe pray not to the spirits of their ancestors, but to Erastil or Gorum. They even began to forget their original language. I hope someone writes down their songs and legends before they all sink into oblivion. The goblins who put so much effort into preserving the king's lands obviously felt that gave them the right to do whatever they wanted in the kingdom. Travelers are careful to move in groups when they can, and any peasants who spot at least one particularly toothy stranger immediately raise the alarm. For if you see one goblin, there's likely a whole gang. The sweet teeth departed on a journey, hoping to see as many wonders as possible of this world and others. They keep sending us news from every corner of the map. Their bright painted wagon, drawn by a bull mastodon, crisscrosses Galarian, somehow appearing in the center of one incredible story after another. Evindra was glad to see the Lantern King's plans turn to dust. She spent some time helping restore the kingdom after the calamity, then returned home to the First World. They say the rebellious spirit of her cousin Nyrissa awoke within her as well. Evindra is said to recount our story to the Fae, encouraging them to question the power and might of the eldest. After the victory, the storyteller abandoned his affairs and began spending a lot of time alone in contemplation. He eventually bid farewell to the king and left his lands, but I suspect the inhabitants of Galarian haven't heard the last of this mysterious traveler, for his own story is hardly finished. Amiri remained a pariah to her native tribe, but she stayed close friends with Nylak, who ruled the Six Bears wisely and taught them to survive in the unfamiliar plains and cities. The restless barbarian would often travel for long stretches of time, but sooner or later she would always return to her old friends, bragging about new scars and recounting new feats, many of which Nylak immortalized in song. The Tiger Lords revered Amiri as a great hero, but she didn't stay chieftain for long. After all, she was much better at crushing skulls than giving orders. Valerie Valerie stayed to serve the king, and to this day she continues to be a muse to many people. Not just bards and admirers, but to warriors as well. Honest and resilient, Valerie is not just famous for her feats in battle, but also for her patience and kindness, which she says the king helped her discover within herself. Harren became famous, respected by dwarves throughout our kingdom as well as our neighbors, even as far as the 5 Kings Mountains. He's often been asked to help out or teach others, and he's never denied anyone, despite his grumbling. Some people even listen to his preaching. Lucky for us, there's a lot less howling about the end of the world now, and more wise words of moderation and humility. Not all of his disciples turned to Grotus, but everyone took away something useful from his teachings. Jaethal spent some time at the king's court, but she then left to do whatever it was her new goddess required. She must have become a great inquisitor for Pharasma, as no one would know the ways of the undead and Urgathoa's cultists as well as a former undead cultist would. She was also seen in the company of Salim Godafar. It's unlikely the two became friends, being so different from one another, but it's a known fact that they worked together. Once the war was over, Tristan kept his promise to Sarenrae. In the middle of celebrating the king's victory, the priest suddenly disappeared in a flash of light, vanishing forever. I hope Sarenrae didn't take the Movonic Deva's memory, so her servant might still remember us and the stolen lands. Or if she did, I hope he was at least able to forget everything about the lands in which he endured so much suffering. After the war ended, Ekin hung up his bow on the wall and traded the path of the ranger in for the craft of the carpenter. It may not be the most heroic ending to a tragic story like his, but as Torag is my witness, Ekin's happy with it, as is Alina, who became his wife and is bearing his child. Any baby born into this family will be pretty lucky, since the king himself still visits his old friend and will likely become the child's patron. Jubilost returned to the life of a traveling explorer, frequently visiting his favorite kingdom. He said so himself. His famous work studying the First World all opened with a dedication to his longtime companion, the king. Another name was also mentioned, 2Z, my guide and inspiration. Admirers would ask Jubilost many times about this mystery lady, but he would only chuckle, hitch his knapsack on his shoulder, and return to storm the vast expanses of the First World once again. As for Knock Knock, apologies, I mean Jester Knock Knock, he continued to be a great source of entertainment for the kingdom, both in and out of the throne room, sometimes even on purpose. His antics in the kingdom had an additional effect. Aside from bringing joy and amusement to the citizens, it also softened the common view of goblins. They even became welcome in the streets of the city, for a time. While he may not have become the hero he envisioned, Knock Knock did find himself and his inner strengths thanks to the king. If you should ever find yourself in the kingdom, be sure to seek him out. He'll gladly regale you with some new tale of adventure, one that will surely make you smile, whether our foolhardy, clumsy, well-intentioned goblin means to or not. Kalika remained in the kingdom, though her desire to witness the world's wonders keeps driving her to take long journeys. But when she is home, she spends much of her spare time with her sister. They don't quarrel anymore, and have stopped dragging each other into trouble. Canera settled down in the capital and became a very busy entrepreneur. It seems as though every hour is planned, meeting with rich merchants or inventors whose work she's promoting. But on her way home, she never fails to stop at the market to personally buy some sweets for her sister. Between Canera's business sense and Kalika's charm, they founded and successfully run not one, but 3 organizations. A trading house, a shelter for tiefling children, and a school of magic devoted to Nethys. Rigongar was by the king's side day and night, his right hand, closest friend, and most trusted companion. He didn't interfere in ruling the country, but there were rumors of secret assignments he completed under royal orders. Not to mention the festivities he hosted when there weren't any matters of state to attend to. Not to mention the festivities he and our leader held to celebrate the marriage. It must be said, he refused to call himself a king, instead taking the title of Prince Consort. As for myself, the author of this book, Lindsay, who never chose a pretty nickname, I'm still here, inside my creation within the Capitol Library. I live just like I always dreamed, surrounded by people and books, and not a day goes by without someone turning my pages. My story inspired many others to take up the quill. My readers have written many fierce books, articles, and pamphlets, flinging truth in the faces of tyrants. What more could I dream of? I hope, oh honored reader, that this story offered you some daring ideas, or at least some entertainment. In any case, it's time to set the final period.
Ну вот и закончилось приключение Аластаира в Кингмейкере, а значит и наше с вами. И теперь я, как и всегда, выскажу свое мнение относительно данной игры. Ждала я этого момента долго и очень сильно, потому что высказаться мне есть о чем. Но сначала общее мнение. Мне в целом игра понравилась. Я действительно не могла от нее оторваться. Мне казалось, что я читаю настоящую книгу. Сам мир, приключения, испытания, окружение, внезапные встречи, разговоры на карте – это проработано и сделано здорово. Подобные игры даруют невероятный спектр эмоций во время прохождений. Развитие героев есть, а это именно то, что нужно хорошей игре для полного погружения и привязанности игрока. Однако, несмотря на все положительное, лично для меня есть несколько моментов, которые я не могу проигнорировать и закрыть на это глаза. Именно о них мне и хочется с вами сейчас поговорить, так как в целом игра хорошая, и я рекомендую ее для прохождения. Начну с технической мелочи. Игра начинает часто зависать во время загрузок примерно в конце 5-го акта и вылетать без ошибки. Я так и не поняла, с чего вдруг, ибо в самом начале она просто летала. Советую сохраняться почаще. Больше технических неполадок во время своего прохождения я не заметила. А вот что касается сюжетной составляющей, по сути дела, самого важного аспекта подобных игр, тут хочется прям посмотреть в глаза сценаристу, который решил ввести этот момент, и поинтересоваться, зачем. Я сейчас говорю о секретной концовке, на которую я практически вышла, но не смогла ее завершить. Знаете почему? Из-за романа с Ригонгаром. Дальше будут огромные спойлеры так называемой золотой концовки. Так что послушайте меня только в том случае, если вы уверены, что не захотите сами ее достигнуть, или же вас спойлеры просто не беспокоят. Итак, как мы знаем, на протяжении всей игры главным антагонистом является Нериса. Она всячески пытается разрушить королевство, убить Аластаира, его подданных и применяет любые, самые чудовищные методы для достижения желаемого результата. Своей концовкой я полностью довольна, поскольку симпатии к Нерисе у меня не появилось вообще. Да, она страдала и делала все это не без причины. Но не глупо ли оправдывать столь зверские поступки одним лишь «ей было так плохо, она такая вся несчастная, давайте ее пожалеем». Простите, но нет. Она веками губила судьбы других людей и в моей концовке осталась расплачиваться за совершенные деяния. Ал спас королевство, подарил мир другим людям и оградил от извечных. Добился он своей цели как защитник и король? Конечно, другого и не требовалось. Но что же такое золотая концовка? Спасение не только своего королевства, но и помощь Нерисе в освобождении от проклятия. И я, по сути дела, сделала все, чтобы добиться этой концовки. Я люблю, когда у меня счастливый финал. Это прекрасное завершение любой истории. Несмотря на то, что к Нерисе я не испытывала ни грамма симпатии, мне уперто хотелось сделать все идеально. Аластаир дипломатично пытался найти подходы к озлобившейся нимфе, не объявлял ей войну, помогал тем, кому она запудрила мозги, изучал насылаемые проклятия, в принципе был человеком милосердия и совести. И он не смог отдать Нерисе Терн из-за того, что у него есть возлюбленный. Говоря проще, вы не добьетесь лучшей концовки, если у вашего главного героя роман с кем-то. Вы должны романсить Нерису. И вот тут должен быть салют из моего горящего пукана. Ибо как? Ну просто как? Как в такой продуманной игре появился настолько нелогичный сюжетный момент? Кто вообще придумал это? Кто подумал, что сделать подобное будет хоть сколько-нибудь правильно? Не поймите меня превратно. Я не осуждаю чужую фантазию и не бугурчу на разработчиков просто потому что. Я ищу логику. Ведь должна же быть она в сценарии, не так ли? В игре, где сюжет немаловажен для общего развития персонажей и происходящего действия. Особенно в концовке, которая считается труднодостижимой, секретной и лучшей, которая получается лишь после определенных махинаций. Но вот теперь давайте разберемся, что мы на самом деле получаем. Нериса предстает перед главным героем примерно в начале игры, заливает ему сладостные речи, а в следующий раз уже пытается его грохнуть. После чего находится за кулисами в роли серого кардинала и снова встречается лишь под самый финал. Где? Где здесь есть хоть какой-нибудь логичный намек на то, что надо романсить злобную, обиженную на весь свет, больную тираншу? С чего главному герою испытывать к ней симпатию? Вау, как классно она пытается меня убить, а еще у нее красивое зеленое тело, я весь горю. Ну, ладно, в случае с Аллом зеленое тело сыграло свою роль, но лишь как один из множества элементов. Я не буду сейчас полностью рассматривать и обсуждать роман с Регом, хотя мне есть что о нем сказать и немало, но это я выскажу уже в отдельном видео, а точнее конкретно в видеоромане с Регом. Она уже практически смонтирована и скоро будет загружена на канал. Сейчас я лишь возьму его роман в качестве примера. Он очень детальный, с развитием персонажа, словом его мировоззрения и множеством деталей, что проявлялись на протяжении всей игры, демонстрируя развитие и улучшение их отношений вплоть до самого конца. Ал стал для Рега буквально спасителем, единственным человеком, ради которого он готов жить. А теперь давайте сравним его чувства и чувства Нерисы. Подождите, а сравнивать-то и нечего. Ведь никакого развития и даже намеков на возможность ее романсить тупо нет. Потому что ни один здравомыслящий человек не будет влюбляться в того, кто всеми силами пытается его убить на протяжении нескольких лет. Знаете, от чего у меня особенно челюсть отвисла? От ее заявления насчет Терна, который она, на минуточку, искала несколько веков. Мне он не нужен. Алло, придурочная! Ты губила ради этой палки несметное количество жизней. Ты остервенела его искала. Так какого черта ты сейчас включаешь «Ой, все!» и заявляешь, что он тебе не нужен, потому что у Аластаира роман не с тобой? Ты кто вообще? Биполярочка произошла? Нет, правда, скажите на милость, почему обычное человеческое желание помочь превращают в никому не нужную попытку вести любовную линию? И да, это говорю я, тот человек, который в основном играет в игры ради романов. Ну, просто здесь я не вижу логики и обоснования. В данном случае, неужели человек не может просто, будучи добрым и милосердным, захотеть помочь, простив даже столь загнивающую душу? Без романа! Будь моя воля, я бы Нерису этим терном по голове огрела. Столько времени парить мозги окружающим о том, как она несчастна, чтобы в конце концов отказаться от преподнесенного чуть ли не на золотом блюдечке дара из-за того, что мужик не ей достался. Закатай губу, зеленая ты истеричка! В общем, вот она дыра в отличном сюжете, которая влияет на одну из концовок, причем на секретную. И самое смешное, что от этой проблемы не избавились и во второй части игры. Да, прохождение Kingmaker я выкладываю уже после релиза Pathfinder «Гнев праведника». Там точно такая же история с несчастной и обиженной, которая нуждается в пожалейке. И несмотря на всю чудовищность своих поступков, в секретной концовке получают не по заслугам, а звезды с неба. Но об этом, понятное дело, я буду говорить в финале другой игры и соответствующем видео. А пока я еще раз напомню, что Нериса губила множество королевств, плевала на чужие жизни, манипулировала и заставляла страдать невинных, несчастных людей. То есть, почему-то мы должны сопереживать психованной тиранше, разом оставляя в стороне ее действия до этого. А из-за ее магии люди кровавым месивом взрывались. Ничего, да? Нормально, пойдет. Чувство любви уже появляется? Меня искренне раздражает, когда человеческое сострадание не берут в счет, а хороший сюжет порой банально пытается свести к любви, даже когда она вообще не к месту. Ну или на крайний случай могли бы оставить этот несчастный роман с Нерисой, но также включить возможность получить секретную концовку, потому что у вас с ней просто хорошие высокие отношения. Порой дружба тоже занимает немаловажное место в жизни человека. Но если уж совсем упрощать, то игра крайне толерантна, и мы неоднократно встречали в ней однополые пары. Так почему никто не подумал, что король также может относиться к данному сообществу, и Нериса ему до фени чист по его предпочтениям? Короче, вот эта вот золотая концовка мне кажется непродуманной, нелогичной и странной. Лучшая концовка – каждый на своем месте, и я ее получила. Король спасает королевство, люди обретают покой и мир, а Нериса расплачивается за все свои свершения. Таково мое мнение. А что думаете вы? Пишите в комментариях. Спасибо, что остались со мной и выслушали. С миром Pathfinder мы не прощаемся, так как прохождение Гнева праведника тоже будет выложено ко мне на канал. А мнение о романе с Регом ждите в отдельном видео уже совсем скоро. Ну, а на этом я заканчиваю. Спасибо, что были со мной, и до встречи в других видео.